The Myanmar 7.7 magnitude earthquake is a harbinger of a much bigger earthquake, according to claims. And I've seen on social media the geological surveys showing that this quake in Myanmar caused fluctuations of subsidence and uplift of lands all the way through the end of, to the west, the end of the European Union. On Friday, March 28, around 1 p.m. local time, an earthquake measuring up to 8 magnitude on the Richter scale struck Myanmar. The first number announced by the U.S. Geological Survey was 7.9 magnitude, then it was downgraded to 7.7. The local newspapers are already reporting 7.2. The reason is, of course, obvious, because they don't want to reimburse all those that have been damaged by this. And they said, in our opinion, why waste time on such trifles? Write whatever you write. For example, that this earthquake was of magnitude 4 on the Richter scale, and with the next decree, which you will issue, even cancel the dawn or even the sunset. Anyway, no matter what you write, it is impossible to resurrect the dead and restore the collapsed buildings that collapsed. Another sad observation is the ardent desire of the press not to seek the truth, but at all costs to ensure and put to sleep. That is why they insist so much on presenting the official announcement and government reports, that only they are supposed to be reliable. So some giddy news anchor, uninvolved in these serious geological matters, sits at the BBC, watches skyscrapers collapse, bridges collapse, and writes the first estimate is that there were few victims, while in reality there were, uncounted. But you can say no more and move on. However, planet Earth is designed and organized in such a way that soon all these famous TV channels will feel on their own skin the magnitude 9 Richter earthquake that will tell them each about their whatever victims were around, wrapped in blankets to keep them warm by the fire. Who will live to see this shiny, happy moment, of course? What makes you believe this? First, you don't have to be very knowledgeable in geology to say an earthquake of magnitude 8 has never happened in this area before. And if it has, it was an extremely rare event. And this is a very easy thing to prove. Historians have no idea who built all these ancient buildings, and you could see all these beautiful ancient temples, and when they were built, and most likely most of them were built prehistorically. And if they have not been turned into ruins until now for thousands of years, that means that for thousands of years in this area of the world, no serious earthquakes had happened before. That earthquakes in this area of the world were rare. Therefore, if large earthquakes have started to happen in this area as well, then something has changed in scientific geological events on a global level. And secondly, the seismic and volcanic situation of the planet is on the rise. For example, in the Atlantic, off the coast of Brazil, between Brazil, basically just right in the middle between Brazil and Africa. Yesterday we had an earthquake again measuring 6.6 on the Richter scale, and the Mount Spur volcano in Alaska is showing signs of activation. But the situation there in Alaska is becoming increasingly ridiculous. Geologists went and installed seismographs around the volcano mountain to measure the activity of the volcano, since it shows signs of activation and possibly will have an eruption. But as soon as they went to install them, some clown sent by the new super Minister of Savings, Elon Musk, arrived and told them that anyway, shut everything down, give it up, and start making savings to reduce government expenses and funding, because we are sinking in Washington. Now, also in Europe, in Greece, everyone started to rejoice that we had no earthquake last week in the Santorini area. And Santorini had somewhat calmed down. Santorini, it had a super eruption, as we know, 3,600 years ago. That's around the time of the Exodus. And Santorini calmed down, becoming complacent, since there was no earthquake larger than 3 magnitude Richter there all last week. But suddenly, while we were sitting comfortably, boom, a rather violent earthquake struck today, measuring 4.5 magnitude on the Richter scale, with the earthquake's focal point being only 5.6 kilometers, about 3 miles down, and at a shallow depth, which is also important. A week ago, an earthquake measuring 7 magnitude on the Richter scale occurred far south of New Zealand, and while today magnitude 5 Richter earthquake struck in Kazakhstan, right on the tectonic fault beneath which has been sleeping for so long and was considered non-existent until today. Only the line of lakes extending from Lake Baikal to the Black Sea suggests that there is a hole in the earth there. Therefore, summing all this up, taking into account all of the parameters, we conclude that the seismic situation across the whole planet continues to remain critical and threatening if not today, at some point in the near future, some major seismic event or volcanic eruption is visible on the horizon that is coming, and it will strike somewhere either in America or in Europe. And it could even be a magnitude 9 on the Richter scale and hit everywhere at once, so let's watch the events unfold. Please leave your comments about this, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.